Hey everyone, welcome to the Tennis Crier, first ever video. Today I'm talking about the French Open clay courts, the top dressing in particular. Some subtle things happen there that a lot of people may not have been aware of. You may be wondering who this is. No, it's not my girlfriend. I just think this reminds me a lot of Paris, actually. Tennis to me is not just conditions and surfaces and balls. I love all that stuff. The players, fantastic. Everybody loves the players. But to me, tennis has a lot to do with the globe, the world, the culture, everything that's out there that you don't get to that extent in all the other sports. It's a spectacle, it's a drama, and it's played out across the globe, and with the variety of cultures on this planet is unbelievable, and you get to see it all in action, actually. If you go to the tournament, even by just watching a lot of these tournaments, and team tennis, Davis Cup and that, you'll get an even more of a feel for the different cultures and all the battles that go on there. But anyways, we'll say bye to her for now. We'll concentrate for this segment on clay courts. I'm trying to keep in the picture here. In fact, let's back this up. Kind of get to see the whole thing. And that's what I have back here, by the way. It's some clay from the French Open. You can see that there. Actually, I'm kidding around. It's cinnamon. But it's actually supposed to be the same quality of the powder that they use at the French Open, the crushed brick powder. Now, as you can see here, it's just like a dustiness. That's why you see when it's real hot and dry, the stuff gets dusty and it's flying in the players' faces. The other thing I have here is some baking soda. Why am I showing you this? Well, I'm going to pour some baking soda out here. That is a little more gritty nature. That's a little larger particles, just barely, but it's still powder, just a little larger. I also have back here pepper and some salt, normal table salt. Anyway, what I want to show here, and we'll zoom the camera in here, with these items, this makes up the most powdery kind of clay courts, the top dressing on top. You can add different sized grains. Now they don't use, they actually do use salt. They don't use pepper, obviously, and they don't use baking soda. But what happens is a very soft, fine powder on the top surface can kind of get muddy in wet weather. In the French Open, 2 years in running now, they've had very wet weather. Last year it played slower. It didn't slip as much, didn't slide. The players actually didn't slide as much. If you have noticed, you may have noticed or may not have, but they were slipping a little more this year. But also, and in wet weather, you're not really supposed to be slipping on clay. Clay is usually more slippy when it's dry. Again, the reason for that is because it turns into like a dusty powder and it can get slippery on the court. But what happens is when you start adding larger grains, and this could be, sand. This would be, the salt here would be like a very coarse sand. The pepper would be more of a finer type of sand. This is actually a fine pepper grind here. So let's say you add you could even add like just a little bit more of a gritty powder like the baking soda, which is just a little tad more, so that probably wouldn't do anything much. But you add a little pepper, well, I shouldn't say pepper, but I mean, if you add like, let's say, for instance, the crushed brick. You can crush the brick down to a fine powder like the cinnamon, or you can crush it, to like a size of a fine sand, or you can crush it into a coarse, very coarse. Just depends. But let's say we're using a little finer sand like this pepper, and you mix it in. Let's throw this pepper let's mix it into this cinnamon here. Okay? Now, what happens? Now, I don't know if you can really notice this, but the grains of pepper actually stay on top of the cinnamon. In other words, let's put this salt. This is real gritty. Put this in. This stuff, if you were to have this salt, in fact, this is what happened at Madrid when it was blue clay. It had nothing to do with the color, really. This salt had crystallized for reasons I won't get into here, but the salt was supposed to be used to uniform the moisture throughout the court, and instead it crystallized. And salt on top of a fine powder like this, it gets very slippery, especially on a hard base. So now if the base is very soft underneath, it won't be, nothing will be that slippery. But these days the bases are pretty on the hard end, mainly because it eliminates bad bounces. It's better footing for the players. It eliminates bad bounces. The French Open definitely has a harder base. The limestone base that they use, they compact it pretty well, and it's pretty darn hard. That's why you get a big bounce. So if you can easily make that French Open a little slippery, which means a little faster. The ball will slip through a little bit. Play faster, and you can do that by just adding into the nice, beautiful powdery crushed brick, adding in some coarser elements. Now it could have been a little sand, a fine sand. It could have been just a more grainier crushed brick. I don't really know. The only other thing that could have happened as well is possibly the salt crystallized as well there. Nothing like you saw at Madrid. Now, I don't think you're ever going to see this kind of a conglomerated mess like I'm making on this plate. But let's just throw this salt onto that brick powder. You can see it there. And it's pretty easy to see how the heavier grains, the bigger grains, actually stay on the surface. You know. Anyways, you can see the bases are some of the bases can get almost this hard, believe it or not. But this is what, porcelain or whatever, this plate. Anyway, make my point. Now you may wonder, hey, is that really going to make much of a difference? Well, yes, it actually does. For an amateur who doesn't play much, probably not. A good amateur, maybe. Definitely top pros. I mean, these guys, every little thing makes a difference. Yes. In fact, in Michael Usney's loss to Tommy Haas, Tommy had played a heck of a match with Isner, and a lot of people were wondering, what was he going to have left. The good news is Isner, is mainly serving, not a lot of rallies, so that's a good one. That's not going to tire him out too bad. But Haas has played a lot of tennis, even coming into the French. He's in great shape and all that, and fitness, but he bombarded Usney out of the water, and Usney had an easy time getting, Tipsarevic was a very tough match before that, and that had maybe a little bit to do with it, but Usney was fit, and he's kind of proven that now that he's done so well at Halley after that. A lot of what happened, and I don't think Usney even maybe quite knows, but the ball on Suzanne Longland, the courts there, even when they were wet, the compaction underneath was very hard for some reason, and that's another thing. Sometimes compactions of the clay surface and the limestone can vary, and some of the courts can get very hard and slick with this grain that was added, or that happened by accident with the salt. Who knows? But the little extra graininess will make it very slick, and the harder it is, and you could hear it. Like I think one day, and it changed. It wasn't like the same every day, but especially the second week it warmed up and everything changed. But on court 2 one day, I think I heard, it was just, it sounded like ice skating to me, whoosh, like that. So, I don't always listen to player quotes. They're not always the best. I mean, I know those guys are on the court playing, but they're in the middle of a battle. I myself remember playing sports very vividly, competitive sports. It wasn't tennis, but I played tennis, but I played competitively football, baseball, basketball, and swimmer actually as well. But it's hard to, I'm busy trying to fight a war. I probably am better understanding the game of football now than when I actually played college football. But but I do always like to listen to what the players have to say, because a lot of times there's little gems in there. And I know Djokovic said Suzanne Longland was slipping. I saw Maddox Sands, it was slipping through on her a little bit, and she seemed a little bit taken aback by it. She had played on court 1 in the bull ring twice before that, and when she got on Suzanne Longland, and there's always other things going in. There's mental and physical battles going on. I mean, but I noticed a couple times she seemed almost surprised the ball slipped right up on her on a backhand, I remember once. But anyways, I think Usney, that little slippage was that little bit of timing. He likes a big backhand. He likes a big shot. Sometimes he's not the most patient. He can be incredibly patient, but if he, maybe he's a little stiff, he's a little older, or, in the mind he gets upset, very easily. And in the beginning, maybe he thought this was his big chance to knock Haas off. Haas has played a lot of tennis. Big chance for Yuzhny. He hasn't played so well the last year or so. He's playing better now. All of a sudden, he gets up a break to start the match, and the ball's slipping in on him, and balls start going wild on him. And the next thing you know, he's losing his patience. Haas is taking full advantage of that, just making those balls get deep, hitting them with good power, good pace, and usually imploded. So, anyways, yeah, the French Open. If you want to go back, look at some replays, see for yourself. I am. At this time, I'm in the process of trying to get a hold of the groundsman at either the head guy or one of the grounds crew at the French Open. I've never talked to any of the grounds crew before. I've talked to others who are in the know, but not the grounds crew. I'd love to hear something as I try to understand more about the differences, the way the different courts play. It's very subtle. It's even more subtle, but that would be very interesting as well. Anyways, I hope this is my first video. I hope it went well for everybody. I hope we learned a little something here. Feel free to comment. There's all kinds of things that go on in this sport that I think we're all still learning. Everybody, from the fans to the players to the coaches, and let me know what you think.